Damar Hamlin. Let's talk about the football player from Buffalo. This guy doesn't look like he's going to die, at least at this point.
That's great.
The latest from ESPN. Let's go to the audio. This came out just a few moments ago. I do have to kill my hail to the chief, but we do have this from ESPN.
Coley, what can you tell us about Damar Hamlin's condition right now?
I have to tell you, the fact that you guys opened by saying there's power in prayer, indeed there is. The sun is beginning to shine here in Cincinnati, and that's also a sign of what we're learning, and that is that some positive progress, some small steps of hope towards recovery for Damar Hamlin have begun. I'm going to turn it over right now to some sound that I had with the family's spokesperson, also the close family friend of Damar Hamlin. This is Jordan Rooney, as he filled me in just a few moments ago on the updates that have happened overnight.
The news that we will share today is we've got some positive steps in the right direction. So still has a long ways to go, but in terms of what the doctors want to see, it's positive.
They're seeing
I know you can't get too deep into that because they haven't even shared all of that, but what does positive steps, what does that look like from what they've told you?
To be honest, that's all I got. Just that in terms of what they were looking for and hoping to see overnight, they got that. They got what they.
So I guess some positive signs,
yeah, that's
although
good,
we
man.
don't
That's
know
good stuff.
what the
that was
positive
crazy,
signs
man.
are.
Wow.
It was. I happened to be watching it live.
Me too.
Me too.
And
I wasn't.
And all of a sudden, it just seemed to me like it was a very uncomfortable situation. I put myself in the shoes of the broadcasters because that's the business that we're in. And I was just thinking, like, if you're Joe Buck or you're Troy Aikman or Susie Colbert, all these guys, you're going into it thinking, hey, tonight we're about to go call a football game like we always do. You know, nothing too serious. It's just a football game. We're here to have some fun and call a game. When then all of a sudden, in a drop of a hat, in a single hit on a football field, it turned into a very stressful. And a lot of these characters on television, they need a script. You know, now all of a sudden, throw the script out. We're not calling the football game. Now we're calling something live on
life and death.
Television, life and death. And I thought Booger McFarland was very good. He put it into perspective on television. But I felt like there were moments where it's like, how many times on live television can you say, at this point, our thoughts and prayers are with the player, and we hope that he's okay, and we're praying for him. And then it was just like everyone just kept regurgitating that same thing for about 30 or 45 minutes.
Until they went over to Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Clark, who really set it off.
Did they? I didn't see that part.
They did. They especially Ryan Clark, because he's a former player and he had his own health situation where his teammates didn't think he would die either. He had sickle cell and some stuff.
I heard there was some controversy that the NFL wanted them to keep playing, but it was the coaches and the players that were like, no. But there's some controversy because the NFL says no, they never did. But there seems to be some discrepancy.
Well, you can't believe everything you hear, and I'm sure people are just throwing shit out there.
You can't believe which side.
Well, they did.
You can't believe which side.
Well, you have to believe that people are willing to do the right thing, especially in those situations.
So you believe the NFL?
Sure.
That they say they would do it.
Unless you get proof that they didn't, then you can't. Like,
sure,
that's fucked up.
Yeah,
but there was some controversy about it.
Well, I mean, you see it often where even an ambulance will come on the field. Not a lot, but sometimes you'll see it, and they'll carry a player off, and maybe even with a neck brace, and you hold your breath, and you feel bad for the player. But typically they cart him off, and it's line up and let's play.
Right, because it's a leg or arm injury. It's not a heart injury.
And
dude actually died on the field
twice.
Right.
They had to resuscitate him twice.
That's never happened. Like all of America live watched a person die because he was for at least 90 seconds.
It actually happened. Before.
It
happened in 91. I think it was.
I have the story
71.
Here. There has been one football player, professional football player, that died on the field. His name was Chuck Hughes
for the Detroit Lions.
Chuck Hughes,
and it was in 1971, and he actually suffered an injury in a preseason game that season, and it led to him collapsing in the locker room afterwards. He was hospitalized, and the doctors back then, they said that they thought it was acid reflux, that he had bad acid reflux, something that he ate didn't exactly digest well, and so it caused him to not feel well.
So that was, again, not like this. This was the guy dropping on the field.
This is more. I haven't finished the story. This is preseason. He falls in the locker room. The doctors say, you got acid reflux. That's probably why you got these chest pains.
Oh.
And then he went out and suited up in the regular season.
Oh,
Fast
shit.
forward a few months later. Now he's on the field in a real game during the regular season. He's on the field playing the Bears
At Wrigley Field.
Tiger Stadium.
Tiger Stadium. Oh, they were at Tiger Stadium. That's
Late in the
right.
fourth quarter, Detroit's trailing 28-23. The Lions driving down the field. And who enters the game? Chuck Hughes. And then all of a sudden, Chuck Hughes takes a hit, pretty violent hit. Then he starts convulsing on the field. Dick Butkus was right there, a famous Bear linebacker.
Yeah.
He said he mentioned to the sideline, this guy's going to need some assistance. They ended up carting him off. They finished the game. They don't. They
Back
continue
in the day,
to play.
they were like, let's
Don't
go.
give a fuck.
But
So
this guy ended up dying.
So the guy calling from the first tragedy was named Dick Butkus, and the guy calling from the second was named Booger.
Yeah, Booger
Nice.
and Dick.
Sweet.
So,
Here's-
but Chuck Hughes died, and he was, 28 years old.
Wow.
I believe that's the same age that I know. I think Damar is 24.
Yeah, he's 24.
Right. Well, from
This guy died, and I guess he had a blockage of almost 75% in his main
he
artery.
was not in
So-
shape at all.
So he had a heart attack on the field.
Well, this
He wasn't in
recent
shape.
person is about, what, 23 years old?
And he is
24.
in shape. Well, the funny thing about this particular incident and what
I don't know if
Doc-
Damar
funny.
Hamlin.
I don't know if there's anything funny about it. But
No. Well, not funny.
Funny,
but,
like
but-
not ha ha, funny like
Yeah.
that. What am I, a fucking
like-
clown? What do
like-
I amuse you?
Yeah,
not
no,
that
no,
kind of
not
funny.
that kind of funny.
I know what
right,
he's
right.
saying.
Okay. The thing about it is that they're saying that if it is the certain particular injury that they believe it is like not trying to be funny, like 1 in a million shot. Like he has to be hit in the exact right place. And not only that, at the exact right time that his heart rate, his heart pulse
Was stopped.
is in a specific position that your heart spends the least time in of its life. Like in that instant of a second, a split
gets
second, it has to get like that's the trigger. And like they say like this, and most people that even get that injury survive.
I did a lot of, not a lot, but I did some kung fu growing up, and there's something called the death touch. It's dem mock. Now listen, it's
Right,
a real thing.
sure.
If you hit somebody in the fucking heart, they can die.
They can.
You can boom hit
yeah.
them. You got to hit them at that heart,
Perfect
right
spot.
time, right spot.
It's right.
But it's the same
I'm not
thing.
going to tell you which
It's
ribs.
a real
I
thing.
know
It's
which
called
ribs are-
Demok,
yeah.
poison hand. You can really kill people by hitting them really hard.
That's the name of
in the
Steve
heart.
Aoki's label.
It is.
Demok, yeah.
That's why
Demok.
he called it that.
Yeah.
Because it's badass.
Yeah.
Tigers and fucking karate and shit.
You know, I've
That's
seen.
fucking
It
crazy.
amazes me that we've only seen one NFL player die on the field. I got to be honest with you. I thought maybe you would see it more.
It's extremely violent.
I
It's a
know it
Coliseum.
happens. I know it happens. I hear about it a lot with football players dying here locally in our area. High school football is
Oh,
a big
shit.
thing, and in the state of Florida,
Overheating.
they get so freaking hot because they're practicing
Right.
in July.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're out there playing, and they want to push themselves because, you're a high school kid. You want to perform. And you're out there in the heat, and you got a mouthpiece on, and you got a helmet on,
That's right.
and you're playing in 100-degree weather. We have seen, I feel like it happens once every 4 or 5 years, you have a high school athlete die on the practice field typically
Right.
because they overheat. And I've heard it
Practices in
multiple times.
summertime. They have a new thing because of the last kid that died here. They have to keep ice bath. They have to have an ice bath there.
But they should have had that anyway.
That's new.
The other
That-
thing
that
where I,
should've been
where, I,
doing
where
that.
I hear athletes dying in our area, again, high school athletes, it's only happened a couple times, but struck by lightning.
Yep.
They're out on
Oh,
the football
yeah.
field. And another thing in Florida, not only is it hot in the summer, but it rains every afternoon during the football season in the summer. And so you have these vicious lightning storms, and you'll see these athletes die of a lightning strike. So I'm surprised with all the outdoor games, they play in the rain. You haven't seen a lightning strike on a player. You haven't seen a player overheat in the National Football League since 1971. So I was surprised
Yeah.
when I heard that only one player in the history of the National Football League has died while playing a game. It did surprise me.
Now, what about other games? Like, what about like hockey? You would expect people to die in hockey. Has anyone ever died playing hockey
or baseball?
Almost, yeah. A guy took a direct like slap shot right to the chest, and it stopped his heart.
Same shit.
They had to
like
save his life.
baseball. Same
Yeah.
shit.
But that guy, believe it or not, actually ended up having a 20 or some odd year career after that incident.
Well, I can tell you, a
So
race
he
car
fared
driver,
well.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Or
not junior, but senior.
Senior.
Intimidated.
Yeah, he barely
died
hit that wall, it seemed like.
in the Daytona 500. If you remember Hank Gathers.
Yeah,
anybody?
he played for the Celtics, right?
No, Loyal Marymount.
Oh, that's right.
He was a college athlete, and they made a movie.
right.
You could look the movie
Hank.
up, the Hank Gathers story. He was a college athlete. He's like at the free throw line, I think, and he just collapses.
That's crazy.
Again,
And
some
limb
kind
bias.
of
Yeah.
heart
college.
condition.
Yeah, Lynn Bias.
In college.
And Apollo Creed too, by the way. He got killed in the boxing ring.
That was a
Oh,
real
yeah, I
person?
saw that,
That's not a
yeah.
real person.
Well, he that
The
Russian was a
yeah,
badass.
He
If he
was.
dies,
Yeah.
he dies.
No,
If he
If he
dies.
He had no remorse
died.
whatsoever.
if he dies,
And
he
it
dies.
was quite appalling.
All right.